So hello everyone, and welcome back to Satisfactory, where we have just finished off our supercomputer factory, and I believe, at least currently, it is working at 100%. So that is pretty neat. I was expecting to have to spend a lot of time bug fixing this, but if it works, then it works. And, I mean, it's been running for a good half hour or so off stream, and it's still at 100%, so it's probably actually good. And do I see any yellow anywhere? I don't. I do see yellow over here, though, so this is the fused frame factory, which is technically a different thing, and it is having, I believe, just aluminum ingot shortages. Let me guess that this is just like about to run out. Yes, very much so. Alright, so that is unfortunate. So we're going to have to spend more time fixing aluminum, which we're going to need to do eventually anyways, because our next thing also, I believe, requires aluminum. Because we are going to be moving on to turbo motors, which require cooling systems, which require heat sinks, which require aluminum. And also radio control units, which require heat sinks and some other stuff, potentially. But there's actually alt recipes for that, so I'm not sure we're actually going to be using the default turbo motor recipe. Now, I guess what we need to do is head back to the base, and once we're over there, we can unlock some tech, and then use that to hopefully, what am I saying? Yeah, so we need to unlock a hub upgrade, which will unlock electromagnetic control rods, which will in turn unlock an alt recipe for turbo motors, which is potentially something I'm interested in, and we have supercomputers now, so we can do it pretty easily. I really need to do this at some point. It's not urgent, but it is something that needs to be done. So we need concrete, we need cable, we need heavy modular frames, and then we're going to need more of all of those, although we have the supercomputers for it. So we're like one stack short of each, basically. While we're staring at this, let's clear some of this random junk out of my inventory and hope it stays out for now. I don't need that. I don't need that or those. Inventory is pretty clear. A lot of this stuff is just going to get used in crafting recipes, so I'm not too worried about that. Alright, concrete is through. Cable is almost there. Need another 50. Heavy modular frames are through. And I believe this is enough. No, 5 short, of course. So let's get some more of that and throw it in. There we go.
Milestone reached. The nuclear power plant produces dangerous radioactive nuclear waste. Fix-It reminds you that any extra limbs resulting from exposure to radiation are also contracted to work on project assembly. Fix-It also reminds you that willful exposure to radiation will not result in any bonuses regardless of how many functional limbs it produces.
I don't really use my limbs anyways, except for the build gun.
The magnetic field generator should enter production as soon as possible. Any unnecessary delays will be noted.
Alright, so with that done, now we can go to the hard drive library and start... Oh, we only have like 3 rescans. That's a little bit awkward. So let's do that. This one we might need. We don't need that one. Okay, turbo electric motor. We're definitely going to grab that. And yeah, I think we are actually going to want to just run off and grab some more hard drives because we are running low again. I'm just going to take everything which could conceivably be relevant. Not you. Probably not you. Not you. Yeah, I mean, most of these are just very bad recipes up here. Alright, yeah, let's go grab some hard drives. So we're going to have to set up the interactive map real quick. Let's see if I can remember where it is saved. There it is. Save games. And open that up. So it's going to take a while. The interactive map is a bit slow recently. Maybe because my save game is such a mess. Alright. It's loading and loaded. Alright, so we just need to grab some. Apparently there's some right in here. So if we just head west past the supercomputer factory, and we're gonna actually make sure we're on solid ground. Swap to the jetpack for this because we are going to be moving along, probably reasonably far away from our factory. Alright, I really need to set up a hazmat suit at some point. It's kind of ridiculous how long I've put it off for, and the gas masks especially. Alright, so we're here now. And if I zoom in, there should be a hard drive there on top of that hill, and then one there by the creek, basically. So, if we... There it is, I see it. Okay, so off we go. It looks got turbo motors. Handy. And it uses heavy modular frames, so let's grab those. And let's see, the rest of this stuff I do not need. Okay, so now we have to head due south from here. So let's head due south. And it should be somewhere in this vicinity, if I'm correct. Let's see here. Okay, just a little bit further. Yeah, there it is. You sort of blend in a little bit. Oh boy. There are poison pillars there, which you definitely cannot just tank like you can with radiation. Gotta just get rid of it. Alright, there you go. I'm out of Nobelisks. Let's grab some more of those. Ah, I didn't mean to throw that so short. Did we get the poison pillar? We did. Alright, now where is the actual hard drive? Is it down there? Oh yeah, it's gonna be down there, isn't it? By all the poison spiders and everything. Surprised that reached. Alright, so then we throw it there to get rid of that one. And I don't know exactly where this thing is, but should be... Oh, it was directly beneath me. That makes sense. Alright, let's grab those turbo motors. It would be pretty cool. I know there's an alt recipe for turbo motors that requires... do I even have heat sinks? I do. I have some. There's an alt recipe for turbo motors that requires pressure conversion cubes, which requires turbo motors to unlock. So I don't even know if that's like a good alt recipe that I would want, but it would be convenient if I could just get the ability to at least look at it and figure that out. Alright, so we're heading down to here where there's another one. Actually, can we grab that one? Yes, it's no requirements. Alright, where... Here, is that it? That's it there, I assume? No, that's a different one that I already got. Need to head east-ish from here. And it should be right by the end of a river of some kind. Which I'm not seeing the terrain. Okay, it's still further east. Not going quite as far as I thought I was. Alright, here's the river. And there it is. So let's open that up, yoink the hard drive, and get out. Alright, we should definitely have been scanning these this whole time. So in you go. And then there is another one southwest of this, like there-ish, I think. So let's just head this way. We're at the point where we're pretty low on hard drives, and we should be scanning. I don't know where I put my object scanner. Let's see, what do I not need? I guess the coffee cup is optional. We are badly low on Mercer spheres. Just need to grab like a couple more would be very helpful. I don't see that one. It's probably on the ground down there. I don't want to lose all that height just yet. So here is a hard drive, and we grab it. So now we can head over this way to grab another Mercer sphere, which will be nice, you know, just offset the use of them that we've been doing this whole time. We don't need a huge amount more Mercer spheres. Like, I have these. Stop moving around. There we go. Yeah, so I have 3, which is going to be enough for like turbo motors, cooling units, and then one other thing. But that's obviously not all of the Mercer spheres I'm going to need for the rest of the game, so let's grab this one up here, hopefully. Assuming it's not too difficult to find. Ah, rocket fuel is so nice. Just being able to jet up like that. Alright. Let's see here. Do we need more Mercer spheres? Not really for the time being. So let's head east where there should be another hard drive. So it should be... It's going to require turbo motors. Hopefully it has some as well. I have enough turbo motors to do this. Just don't have enough turbo motors to do this and also unlock stuff. But that's probably a bit of a pipe dream anyways. I guess we can manual craft turbo motors or something. Or I could just Google it. I could just Google the recipe and see what it's like. Let's just drive by that. Okay, so that is a hard drive there. We're gonna have to be speedy about it because it's full of radiation. So in we go. We have turbo motors in the inventory. Grab the hard drive and run. Alright, didn't even take that much. Alright. We have 5 hard drives. I mean, there's going to be a lot of, like, nuclear-related things that we unlocked just now. So we should probably get another couple. If we want to have a complete collection of recipes, we're going to need more than what we have. So there should be one just up ahead. Here it is. And it requires... Is that just regular modular frames? Yes. Just regular old modular frames. There we go. Got that one. Are there others in this area? It looks like we've pretty much gotten all of the ones that are like on the entire south half of the map. There are a couple outliers left. But I think we're probably good to go for now. So let's respawn. And then get the coffee cup back, because I do love me a coffee cup. So, particle enrichment requires 50 turbo motors. We have like 20 some. Unless there's more in here. So yeah, we're at 36. And I imagine there won't be any in that box or anything. So, can you manual craft turbo motors? Yes, you can, and I can actually make enough. Although, that's gonna be hilariously inefficient, so let's not do that. Let's instead come over here to this, which I was previously using to manual craft supercomputers for the same reason. And toss that alt recipe in. Alright, so we need cooling systems. We need radio control units. We need motors. And we need rubber. Probably a lot of rubber. Alright, so this should make us some turbo motors, which we can then use to unlock a potential alt recipe that we could use to make more turbo motors. And we just need 14 of these at 12.8 seconds each. So that will be 14 times 12.8 is 179. That's like 3 minutes. Not that bad. We're going to be waiting longer than that on the hard drive scans anyways. Alright, the freighter has returned. So let's also queue this up and throw the rest of this stuff in. Apparently I already had a billion of those. Oh wait, no, we also need cooling systems for this, which means we need nitrogen gas. Okay, we can make that work. We have nitrogen gas somewhere. Alright, let's head down to the blue crater, I guess. because we have our power grid down there, which it'll be good to check on. I've been meaning to do that. Oh, this is absolutely the wrong way. This is north, not south. Whoops. Took the wrong hypertube. So let's just turn it around and pick the right hypertube this time. Actually, I wonder if we could... Oh, we're gonna die. Okay. Alright, we managed to swap to the hover pack in time to save us. That was pretty clutch. Alright, confirm. We are headed south. Cool. So we head down to the blue crater. We hijack some nitrogen gas. There's probably nitrogen gas closer than this, but it'll be fine. I'm pretty sure this has spare nitrogen gas as well, so it shouldn't even be like an issue. Alright, let's also investigate. You guys are not running successfully. Yeah, so what is going wrong here? We need to drop all the way down to like this level-ish. Now, are any of these machines actually not outputting? You're 100%. 100%. Alright, I'm seeing a whole lot of functional machines here. Okay, you, I guess, don't have fuel? Okay, you're not working because you don't have fuel. Alright, MAM research finished. Cool, let's plop you down and get another one scanning. We'll deal with actually selecting recipes in a bit. Okay. Before we actually fix this, I want to break it more, actually. We need our cooling systems. Alright. So where is the nitrogen? Is this the nitrogen pipe setup? Yes, it is. So how much spare is there of this? I don't even know how much it uses, but that's fine. Is this max clock? Yes, it is. Okay, but that's like 50% output. That's 100. That's 74. So there's definitely plenty of spare in here. I just need to... I mean, it looks like I can grab it from mostly wherever. I guess just this one is the one that's connected to the ones that aren't outputting all that much. So let's just set up a foundation back here. And just give it a decent amount of space. Doesn't need too much. It's apparently going to need... But we should swap back to hover pack for this since we're within range again. Alright, so this should be good. There was some resources or something in there that were in the way. So we get a blender. And we tell that blender to make cooling devices, I guess, because that doesn't require water, which makes this simpler. Then we attach a junction. Attach the fluid pipe. And we have to power this up, which there's a power pole down there. Alright, so this is now going to fill up with spare nitrogen. And we are going to need heat sinks and motors So for heat sinks, we're going to need an assembler, I believe. Is that right? Yes, and we can use either of these recipes and give you some rubber and some aluminum casings and power you on. Alright, so then that belt goes there. That's 10. This uses 10. Alright, let's do that so that then we can get this going faster. And then finally we just grab some motors and fill you up. So how much do we need? We need 200 of these, which is going to be like 10 minutes. Which is, again, not that bad when we have to wait for other alt recipes and such. So let's continue doing the math. If we need 200 of these, we need 200 heat sinks, 50 motors. So the amount of motors we have in there already is good. Is this going to be able to make 200 heat sinks? No, we're going to need to resupply it in a bit. And then we can storage container that. Run it out to a belt just in case these don't stack. 'Cause I think these stack to 50 maybe. So we're gonna need that. And then we can overclock you even more. And this is gonna be doing a lot. Actually, how's power going? Power is still nowhere near an issue. These individual machines taking 1,000 megawatts is stressful, but it is ultimately capable of handling it. Alright, so then we can restock those, and then that's going to be 400, well no, it's going to be more like 300 casings, which gives us like 200 heat sinks, so that should be fine. And then this is just running. And we also need 100 fuse frames. So let's just grab those for the milestone. And I guess we can dimensional upload these, just for convenience's sake. And then we're going to have to come back down here in a minute anyways in order to refill this. So I don't even know if that's worth doing, but we've done it. Hard drive scan is taking another couple minutes. Oh, there's actually a hard drive or two in this area that I didn't grab. I should do that just because I'm here and probably I might still be a bit low on hard drives for the amount of unlocks that we were getting here, and I don't want to run out without getting all the recipes I might want. So we're gonna have to head over and see if we can find this stuff. Alright, there. Is that it? Just down there? Surely not. No, I've already grabbed that one. It's further along than that. Further north. So let's fly up this way. I also see a Mercer Sphere, which is good. We're gonna need those. Okay, is this it? No, it's even further north than this. Alright, so we rocket fuel up here. And alright, if I'm sneaky about it, I might be able to get in the center of this and pick these up before the flowers do anything. Oh, I almost got stuck there. So now we can fly up here, and yeah, it's actually not very close to the blue crater at all. Which is probably why I didn't grab it last time I was down here. There it is. Fairly confident that's it. Yeah, because all the poison pillars are still around. Alright, completely whiffed that explosive, so let's just get the rest of these. And get the rest of these. Alright. Hard drive acquired. That is another 2 recipes that we can scan. And now we just need to head west, and this one's going to be one of the hard ones to find, I think. I think this is one of the ones that's like in a cave somewhere. Let's actually check altitude on it. Altitude of 14 meters, which is pretty low. So yeah, we're going to have to go hunting through a cave for that one, probably. And we're also going to need to bring power, because it's one of those. Alright, so let's just make our way on over. And it should be on the western side of the crater. Ooh. Scan finished. Let's put another one in. And apparently we need space to do that. Can't just do it on top of the pipe. Steel canister and electric motor. Alright. Don't think I need either of those, but at least we have them. Alright, so it should be here-ish. Alright, so time to go looking for caves. Because I'm pretty sure it's not just on the ground. So there should be a cave somewhere in these walls, hopefully. Finding caves is the worst. Oh wait, no, it's just out in the open? Is it this? It is just this. Alright, well, that's fine, I guess. I don't know how I missed this one then. Where's power line? It's over this way, I guess. If we go up to a power tower, that'll make it a lot quicker. Hopefully we can just direct connect. We can. Neat. Alright, so that is connected across. Now grab that and get out before the poison flowers get us. Alright. Take that line down and we're good to go. Unless we just casually fly through some poison plants and die. Which we were very close to doing there. Alright, let's get back over to the nitrogen and see if this is all set up. Alright, let's check a man. We still got 7-8 minutes left until the next scan is done. And we haven't even unlocked the tech to do the scans we really want. But we've got rescans on a couple of the things we're doing. these have gone yellow, which hopefully means that they're just finished. Alright, so this is short on heat sinks. There we go, we'll fill those up. And cooling systems is at 178. So, almost there. Just about. So yeah, just a couple more cycles of this, and then we will have all the cooling systems we need. And the turbo motors should also be done by now. So, up to 185, 186. We might actually have miscalculated the number of motors needed somehow. Not sure how, but we'll feed some more in just to make sure. Having a couple spares probably won't be a catastrophe anyways. It's not like 50 motors are going to make a big difference. Alright, no, we are there now. So that is now more than 200 cooling systems. And we don't actually need any of the machines from this. We just need to have it unlocked for the alt recipes. So we can just take this down now. And save the Mercer Sphere. And I guess some of the resources. Although I'm not sure how much we need any of this stuff. Alright, so that is in. Now we respawn. And we're back here. So you get those. And those. And cooling systems. We do need to click twice there. And now we head over to the turbo motors, which hopefully... Alright, this has finished running. Did we get enough? We got 16 out, which I think is enough. Yeah, we needed 14. Alright, and we need 20 more quick wire. There we go. And we launch.
Milestone
And that's
reached.
another big one.
Project part number 9, nuclear pasta, can be created in the particle accelerator. The accelerator has vast and fluctuating power demands, depending on the recipe, so will need careful integration with your factory.
So I
Fix-It
think...
does not waste, so nuclear waste can be refined by the particle accelerator into plutonium for reuse in the nuclear power
We should
plant.
then have
Fun
all
fact,
the recipes we can
Fix-It
use.
psychologists suggest factory designs reflect the minds of their creators in unexpected ways. On an unrelated note, your infrastructural choices have been interesting.
Alright, so we are going to want to rescan some hard drives eventually. I actually want to just... Now, let's rescan this hard drive right now. It's definitely not relevant, and it's still not relevant. But at some point in the distant future, we're going to be doing nuclear power, because I think it's fun. So it won't be completely wasted in the long run, but for now, it's not doing much. So we're looking for a turbo motor alt recipe that uses pressure conversion cubes, which again, I don't even know I'm going to use it, but better to have it and not need it. And how many spare... Alright, we have like 6 spare hard drives. That is a pretty significant amount. So we should be able to get that working. I guess in the meantime we can check the 2 alt recipes we do have. So, base turbo motor recipe uses cooling systems, and it's 4 cooling systems to 1 turbo motor, and 2 radio control units to 1 turbo motor. Alright, so if we compare that to this, for regular motors, it's 7-3, which is just slightly worse than 2-1, versus 4-1. For radio control units, it's 9-3, which is 3-1, as opposed to 2-1. This uses EM control rods at 5-1 instead of cooling systems at 4-1. And it uses rotors instead of rubber. So the thing that jumps out to me here is that this is a lot more solid than the top recipe, because this uses rubber and cooling systems, both of which require fluids. But I don't actually think it's better. I don't know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because this requires more radio control units, which are like the single biggest pain in this entire setup, because they require all sorts of junk. Like they require crystal oscillators or high-speed connectors, and computers, and like, yeah, no, these look awful. But we're gonna have to make them either way. They're in both alts. And this, the top one though, I mean, if we're making heat sinks anyway for radio connection unit alt recipe, then cooling system or cooling device doesn't really add anything new in terms of complexity. So like this is fine, right? It's just rubber and or motors, either of which we would have used anyways, and heat sinks, which technically we weren't going to have used anyways if we used the default recipe here, but like realistically probably are. I don't know. It's hard to say. I'm just hoping that the other alt recipe is much better. Coated iron canister and superstate computers, don't care for either of those. So electric motor is an option that I have to consider, but I'm not going to select it until after we're done, because steel canister is a very bad recipe that I don't want to see again. And then this one is just pure junk. So I either re-roll it or I just leave it there. I think technically it's optimal to have as many scanned as possible before doing your re-rolls. So, but I don't know. I don't want to sit around waiting unless I have to. Let's rescan this. Alright, we bricked anyways. So yeah, both of those are obviously useless. And we just keep waiting. I guess, is there anything else we can do in the meantime? Yes, we can finally get around to the hazmat suit. So we need gas filters, aluminum casing, and a quick wire. So gas. Did I never even unlock that? Is there... Oh no, that's in the MAM, which actually we can't do while we scan. Whoops. Ah well. Guess we're just gonna have to sit around here for a bit. So let's see here. I could have sworn I saw a splash of red down there. No, that was just a tree. Stupid red trees make everything look like it's broken, even though it isn't. Alright. So. Please give me the alt recipe that I'm looking for. Please just give it to me on this next roll. And is electric motor actually good? EM control rods is 3 stators and some other stuff, or 2 stators and some other stuff, but the other stuff is more complicated. So what are you normally getting for this? It's normally 2 and 2 to 1, or 3 and 3 to 6 if you add in crystal oscillators, which we might, because we're possibly making crystal oscillators anyway for the radio control units. And then that's just probably better than this. Yeah, I think we don't want this here. I think we're probably going to go with rigger motor. I don't know. I mean, this is still pretty good, right? High-speed connectors are much less annoying than crystal oscillators, and I think we can get around the crystal oscillators. Let's pull that up. So we're looking at the radio control units, which is crystal oscillators and computers, or high-speed connectors, or crystal oscillators. So, I mean, the radio control system recipe is 60 to 3 in terms of aluminum casings, which is pretty terrible. But other than that, it's fine. I don't know, radio connection unit might be the best play, since we have to make heat sinks anyways, and it takes crystal oscillators out of the picture, which would be nice. Alright, maybe. And then if that's the case... But rigger motor is just so efficient, though, that it's tempting to do so anyways. I don't know. I think we're just gonna do this reroll just to try to get lucky. Nope. No luck today, although maybe heat fused frame will be something. I mean, I doubt it, but it's always possible, right? We have a lot of recipes sitting in here. Are any of these good? No, these are all terrible. I tend to pick recipes whenever I think there's a chance they might be useful, which means that for those to be sitting in there for so long means that they're actually just completely useless. I am slowly making good progress on, like, grabbing all of the hard drives on the map. We are a pretty good ways towards having that done. I mean, there's just, like, the eastern center of the map, and the eastern edge of the map is less hard drive collected than the western side by a lot. There's still tons in, like, the eastern center, and, like, the mountains west of the Dune Desert has a lot still too. But other than that, we're starting to get pretty close. And I think in my next save, I'll probably just have all the alt recipes unlocked from the beginning. Because ultimately, like, this doesn't add all that much to it, right? Like, we're just sitting here waiting for 10 minutes, hoping to get lucky on a scan. It is not the most riveting gameplay, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Just, like, taking some time to sit around, but, you know, for future saves, I think I will change that. So, we just have to wait. Gosh, this factory is so massive that, like, it's kind of surprising that it's that huge when, like, I don't know, the fuse frame factory was so simple by comparison. I guess that's just because I was importing the heavy modular frames, but even so, you know, this is a lot of stuff going on here. Alright. We've got to be getting close now. And we just need to get lucky. We have another 4 looks at it off of this. And the number of potential misses is decreasing every time I fail. So that's pretty nice. And again, it would be more efficient to do a bunch of scans and then only rescan them once I have a bunch built up, because that also decreases the number of misses. But I just don't want to... I want to preserve the opportunity to just get lucky and not have to sit around for any longer. Alright, so we do have 5 spare hard drives after the current one scanning. So we shouldn't miss completely. We should get it eventually. I mean, that's 20 looks total, plus the 4 in there. So yeah, we have 24 looks at it. There are not that many alt recipes, I don't think, with how many we have already. Like, until we got these last 2 researches, we were totally capped on the number of available alts. So we should be getting there. It's just a question of, do we get here on this one, or do we have to go another couple spins? If we don't get something on this spin, I'm going to head back south to the fuel generator to see if I can fix whatever problems is going on down there. But hopefully we do get it on this spin and I don't have to go remind myself of the details of an entirely separate factory. I mean, it's oscillating a lot. Like, this is not a small fluctuation there. Gosh, a minute seems to take so long to pass when you're just waiting on a scan. And then it's so short when you're building a factory. Alright. Let's see. Because I know we need to do these. So pressure conversion cubes are radio control units and fused modular frames. So that is, I mean, it's not great to add the fused modular frames in, although we might be able to just import them if it's a good enough ratio to be worthwhile doing that. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that I don't even know if this is like a recipe that I want to use. Alright, we did get it. That's lucky. So we can select that. And now, well, I suppose we should just keep scanning, because we're going to need all these scanned eventually. So send you in. Alright, so this, the turbo pressure motor is 1 cube to 2 turbo motors, which is a pretty decent ratio. Although the fused frames are going to make things complicated. So as far as the other ratios involved, this is 4 to 2 as opposed to 4 to 1. So the motor ratio is the best motor ratio out of the 3. Unsurprising. We have packaged nitrogen gas, which is a fair amount of nitrogen, but not crazy, and it means we don't need to make cooling systems. Then we have 8 stators, which is sort of equivalent to the 7 rotors, but slightly worse. I mean, it's all ultimately going to be pressure conversion cubes. Like, how much of these do we need? So our ultimate goal is 1.875 per minute. Or 18.75 technically. So if we set that as the ratio, which is 50%, then we would need 9.38 pressure conversion cubes. So 9.38 pressure conversion cubes is So these are default 1-to-1. So 0.938 there would be 9.38 fused modular frames, which we could just import. And we might also be able to just import the radio control units. So, I mean, as far as the radio control units goes, this is 18.76 per minute of those, compared to 37.5 there, and even worse here. Yeah, I think this is probably just like the best generically in terms of like everything except fused modular frames have to go into it, which sucks. Alright, so we could import the fused modular frames and potentially also the radio control units, which would make this a pretty quick task, actually. So the fused modular frames and radio control units, neither of them are being used for anything else at the moment, right? We didn't end up using any of these... Well, we didn't end up using any of these alt recipes. So, radio control units, we should be making 25 per minute, which should mean that we have enough to just import here, and same thing with fused modular frames in theory. Now, I happen to know that our fused modular frame production is not working properly, but this should be 15 per minute in theory, and we can tap 9-ish of that and cut off this whole thing. Or we could just do it. I mean, it's not completely unmanageable to just like do some of that stuff, but I think we're just going to import it while we have the option of doing so. Although that'll make nuclear pasta in the future more of a challenge. We're only going to need 5 pressure conversion cubes for that, though. Yeah, no, let's just import it now so we can get turbo motors going sooner. And then the motors, we can just do that. That's easy. Packaged nitrogen gas, we can just do, and it's easy. And the stators, we can just do, and it's easy. I mean, all of this is easy enough that I might want to just like add some extra stuff in here just to make this more of a thing. I don't know. Probably making it harder on myself for no reason is a bad idea. Alright, so we are going to go over here, find some space, and nothing in this should be terribly complicated. And the numbers are also all a pretty good deal as well. So let's get the signs out and prepare this. And we can delete our notes from the supercomputer factory. Alright, turbo motors. So we need this to be at 50%, because we only need the equivalent of 10 of the base recipe. Sorry about that sneeze. Yeah, so we need the equivalent of 10 of the base recipe, not 10 of the recipe we're actually using. So we set this to 50%, so that is correct. So we need 18.75 turbo motors. 18.75 turbo motors is 37.5 motors, 9.38 PCC, 225 packaged nitrogen, and 75 stators. That's going to be quite a bit of packed nitrogen, but what have you done? What is this? Why are you like this? Why can't the notes just be normal? Alright. Maybe if I just put that in public notes, it'll be less buggy. Okay, that worked for some reason. Although... yeah, for some reason, like, the notes feature just, like, breaks every so often and works differently. Like, different times I load up the game, and I don't understand why that happens. But anyways, let's get this onto a sign. Turbo motors is 37.5 motors, 9.38 PCC, 225 packaged nitrogen, and 75 stators. Alright, so the packaged nitrogen is going to be... yeah, so all these are going to be like mildly annoying, but none of them are going to be super hard. So, turbo motors. Let's set that little visual. Alright, so now for the regular motors. Motors. We have... actually, may as well set all of this first so that I don't have to... 37.5 motors equals... alright, so we have this choice. Default motor recipe, rigor motor, which I believe is just absolutely not happening. Because these are more complicated than like everything else combined. So we could do default motor recipe, or we could wait for that other alt recipe to come back around. Which, this is actually just like 40 seconds left, so it might just show up. And I think it's probably better, now that we know we don't have to deal with any of the crystal shenanigans. Although, electromagnetic control rods, we would want to do this, which would... no, that seems like a huge nuisance. We're just going to do regular motor alt. It's not even that many motors anyways, at least relative to what I've done in the past. So this is 2-to-1 if I remember correctly. Yes. So it should be 75 rotors, 75 stators. Five stators. Oh, right. We should just put another scan in. We need to get all these through. And it didn't show back up anyways, so we're fine. Let's put another scan through. And now we can head back to this. So, we have that. We have our stators, which there's going to be a lot of. The PCC, we're just going to put here 9.38 PCC. And we're going to put that in so that we know what we're talking about. Is, I believe it's 1-to-1, right? Or it's 1-to-1 and then 2-to-1. 0.938 is 0.938 and 1.876. 0.938 fused frames, 76 RCUs. And we just have to move the decimal point over 1. Alright, so then we have that. We're going to import both of those so we don't have to worry about them. Alright, so that's motors check, PCC check, packaged nitrogen is up next. packaged nitrogen is, gosh, it's going to be a lot of nitrogen, huh? It's 4 to 1. So 225 times 4 is 900 nitrogen gas, 225. Alright, so 225 packaged nitrogen equals 900 nitrogen gas, 225 aluminum canisters. So the nitrogen gas might be an issue getting 900 of that. Don't know how well that's going to work out, but it should probably be fine. And then are those called aluminum canisters? What are they called? Empty fluid tanks. Fluid tanks. Alright, so then we go around to the rotors and stators, which we want to coordinate if possible, so we could do steel rotor potentially to get that to be the same, but then that would be a lot of iron usage because that's not very efficient. Motors. How have I made motors in the past? 75 rotors are going to be most efficient as, I mean, steel rotor from actual steel is really quite efficient, I think. Because that's like 3 ingots there. Although maybe regular rotor from steel is more efficient. I know I've done this math in the past and figured it out, but it's been a while. So let's see. This is like 1 steel ingot for all of that. And I could have sworn I had steel screws. Alright, so let's just figure this out. So one steel ingot is 4 rods. So that's going to be 1 steel ingot there. So how many rods is this? This is 5. No, this is 6 plus a little bit. So we have like 11 rods total-ish. And that's going to be like 3 steel ingots for that whole thing. This is 3 to 2 is 3 steel ingots just for the pipes. And then some extra stuff there. Alright, so yeah, we're going default rotor recipe using steel screws or steel rods to make screws. Because I'm pretty sure I also did the math, and steel rods to screws is more efficient than just steel screws. Regardless, this is a lot better than that. Although I guess, yeah, no, we're doing it this way, so that is going to be 75 rotors. Do that. Alt is 7.5 is 375 rods. 1,875 screws. Yep, that's what we love to see. 1,785 screws. Alright, can I just check one more time that that's definitely not better to do this? So if we set that to 5 so that these two are equivalent, that's 25 rods per minute, which is like 6 steel, 6 steel ingots, right? Plus a little bit, because 6 times 4 is 24. So that's 6 plus a little bit, and 125 is... Hang on, wait. Let me... Oh, losing my train of thought. So this is 6 and a little bit rods, which means it's like another 1-ish steel ingots. No, I'm doing the math wrong again. So in terms of per minute, it's probably... So in terms of per minute, 125 screws divided by 4 would be 125 divided by 4 is 31.25 rods per minute. So if that's 31.25 rods per minute, and that's 25 rods, that is 56-ish rods per minute, which is 56 divided by 4. 56 divided by 4 is 14-ish steel ingots a minute. Then, what was that? 14? I think it was 14. Yeah, so a little higher than 14 a minute. Now, if we go to here, then this is 10 steel pipes per minute, which at 3 to 2 is going to be 15 steel ingots per minute. So yeah, this is just clearly, very easily much better to do it the other way. Maybe there's something to this. I mean, it adds copper, which is, I mean, pretty efficient, right? That's just going to be 6 copper ingots, which is going to be hardly anything, and then 1 steel beam. Oh, but that does 3? It does 11 per minute. Now, I don't know. We're just going to go with this recipe. It's been a while since I got to mess around with comedically large number of screws, so that'll be fine. Alright, so then the stators. We have 75 there, we have 75 there, so we need 150 stators. Also, we should set this image to the correct thing so that I don't get confused. Stators. 150 stators. What is the best way of making a stator? So there is default stator, which is 3 to 1, quick wire stator, which is 2 to 1, but requires quick wire as opposed to copper. And we've been sort of using a lot of Caterium recently, I feel. Oh, we finished another MAM recipe. Let's immediately get distracted and go scan another one. Hard drive scan complete. Put in another scan, and what did we get there? Coated iron canister, uranium fuel units. Alright, mostly just another dud. Alright, back over here to the stators. We're probably going to do the thing we've done in the past where we use a fused recipe. So 1 and 5 makes 12 there. 4 and 1 make 30 here. Is that right? Yes, that is right. So fused wire is just dramatically better than fused quick wire. And we could even just do regular wire, although we need the efficiency badly. Because this would be 5 to 30, which is like 1 to 6 output, which is insane. Caterium wire is 1 to 8, but then that requires more Caterium. Yeah, so we're going to go fused wire as we have typically done, and we're gonna just tank the higher cost of steel. So, we need 150 of these, which means we need 450 steel and 1200 wire. 450 steel, 1200 wire. Alright. Then, are there any funny recipes for fluid tanks? There's the aluminum ingot one, and potentially one more, but I think that's probably just another unpackaged recipe. So, yeah, no, there's nothing fancy for that, so we can just ignore it and continue working along this line, which is the only one that we still need to do, really. So, we need to make steel. This is steel pipes and wire. So, we need to get the rods and screws down. So, it's going to do screws next. So, 1,785 screws equals how much? So, we have the rods recipe and we have the steel beam recipe. So, this is 4-to-1. So, it's 4 to 52 in terms of ratio. So, 52 per 4 is 13 per ingot. And 13 per ingots, whereas this is 1 to 4 to 4, which is 16 per ingots. So yes, this remains the more efficient way. So 1,785 divided by 4 is 446.25 rods. 0.25 rods. And then we just have to add the rods together, which we go there. So rods is going to be 446.25 plus 375. 446.25 plus 375 is 821.25. 821.25 rods. And there's... Oh, I just tried to place a blueprint. Alright, and there's no funny business here. There's technically the aluminum rod alt, which I think would be absolutely psychotic to ever use. Let's go over and look at it. I'm probably not going to select it because I'm pretty sure it is just truly awful. Yeah, I mean, it's 1 to 7, which is not even twice as good as steel, and aluminum is much... aluminum is like 1,000 times harder to get than steel. So we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're just going to use steel rods. So, go here. It's 1 to 4. So 821.25 divided by 4 is 205.3125. 205.3125 steel ingots. Alright. So now we have that down to steel ingots. We want to leave it for now because we have the pipes left to calculate. So, 450 steel pipes. Steel pipe. 450 of these, and we just want to do default recipe. So that is going to be 675 steel ingots there. Oh, and this, well, I just had the thought of setting the images. That needs to be set. This needs to be set. Why are there a trillion things called pipes so you can't search it easily? So 450 steel pipes equals, I've already forgotten. Uh, 675 steel ingots. 675 steel ingots. Gosh, all these nice, convenient one-to-one recipes. Alright, and then the wire is copper and caterium, so we don't need steel for that. We've done those, we've done those. There's nothing fancy hidden in here that we haven't done. Alright, so yes. So the steel ingots, we now just bring that down to the next bit. So 675 steel ingots plus 205.3125. So that's 880.3125. 880.3125. And we set not the background, we set the icon as steel ingots. And then we have to figure this out. And we're just going to do solid steel because it's just like always the best by a lot. Zero, 3, 1, 2, 5. Let's type that all in. So we get 586.88 iron ingots and coal. 586.88 iron ingots, coal. Alright. So now that is down to iron ingots. And then we just have to do the iron, copper, and caterium. And also we should loop around to this side. So the fluid tanks are only one way to make those, unless there's some way of magically making this directly, which there is not. And these are just one-to-one. So, fluid tanks, 225 of those is 225 aluminum ingots, and that doesn't output the fluid tanks, unfortunately, so we're just going to be throwing them into a fire. And then we have 225 aluminum ingots, which, what was I doing? What is, oh right, one of these alt recipes is labeled wrong. This one is packaged nitrogen. Packaged nitrogen. We apparently already got another MAM recipe unlocked. And it's electric motor, which we're not using, but we could consider. And, alright, so we've gotten all of the available options now. And we don't really want any of these. I don't think anyways, unless we technically want to use a cheeky leached iron ingot or something, but I doubt it. And then heat fused frame is just like much worse, I think, than the alternative. I guess technically this is more aluminum efficient, but we're not using it anyway, so who cares? Yeah, alright, so that's fine. We are basically all good to go. We just have to sort out the ingot side of things. So the aluminum ingots we're just importing, which we also need to fix, because we absolutely are not producing enough aluminum ingots. Then the iron ingots are going to be made here, so 586.88 iron ingots are 586. I don't know why I searched the number there. I should be searching this. Alright, so 586 is 5.8688. So that's 316 iron ore and 180.6 water. Is it 316 or 318? Dang it. Why can't my memory be good? This would be so much easier if I could just remember numbers. Oh, yeah, so I have to put it in decimal form. It's 316 and 180.6. Iron ore, 180.6 water. Alright, so that is that. And we're going to set this to the iron ingot image. And then the coal obviously is just there. So next up is we need to do the wire, which I forgot to do. So let's pop that up here. 1200 wire equals wire. We need to do fused wire and 160 copper, 40 deuterium. 160 copper, 40 deuterium, and those are both in ingots. That's just such an efficient recipe. I love it so much. Alright, so we have that. Then we just have to get those in. So 160 copper ingots. Let's delete all this stuff. And with water, it is 6 to 15. So if this is 16 per minute, then we need 64 copper ore and 42.67 water. Such a good deal. Alright. 64 copper ore, 42.6 water. And then we have our 40 deuterium ingots. Let's select the icons properly. Copper ingots. 40 deuterium ingots, which we will set the icon there. And we go here. And with the alt recipe, it is just 2 to 1. Which means we're going to need 80 deuterium ore. I feel like I've missed something here. Like, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it is not all that much wire. But it's weird to be making 1200 wire from like 120 some ore, you know? It feels like it shouldn't be that easy, it shouldn't be that efficient. But I guess it probably just is. Alright, so let's... I mean, the individual ratios all look correct. Except maybe maybe the wire to copper is wrong. No, but this is 4 to 30. It's an insanely good deal. So yeah, I think this is all just correct. So let's get all these notes down and then probably not do anything with them immediately because we need to figure out what the heck is going on with our aluminum factory because it is not doing great. Alright, so where were we? So we just, as far as the notes section, we had just done that. So this is going to need to be 150 stators total. So we need 225 fluid tanks and 225 aluminum ingots. And that's as far as that chain goes because we're importing those. Then we have those, check. Those, check. Motors, check. 75 rotors. Check. 150 stators. We already have that written down. 1,785 screws. 1,875 screws. 821.25 rods. 821.25 rods. 450 steel pipes. 450 pipes. 880.3125. 0.3125 steel ingots, which is 586 coal, not 0.66, 0.88 coal, 586.88 iron ingots, 300, so then 160 copper ingots, and what is it, 80 40 caterium ingots, 40 caterium ingots. Alright, we ran out of space there, but that's enough. And then none of the ore is actually significant because, I mean, mostly because we've cheated the pressure conversion cubes into being very simple. Alright, so notes are done. So now we need to go over and stare at the aluminum production, and we're going to need, at bare minimum, to increase its production by 225, and it's probably also just broken and we need to fix it. So which one of you guys is going to be the aluminum? I think it's over here. Probably. Just keep on jumping along. Alright. Should be past this next factory, the one after that. And we're going to have to figure out what exactly is going wrong, because something is going wrong over here. Alright. I'm expecting... yeah, I can see a whole bunch of yellow lights. So it looks like technically part of this factory is running, but it's mostly shut down, as aluminum factories tend to do, being quite picky and annoying. Alright, we're here now, and we've got bauxite, we've got crude oil, and whatever this is. Oh no, this is the crude oil. then we have... This is an output train, and this is an input train. We have copper. Alright, so it's not a resource restriction. It is just something broke in here. And of course I know what I'm going to find is that something in here is going to be filled up and unable to run. So that's actually going at 70%. This is going at 70%. And then everything past that is 0. So let's see here. So this is one of the older setups, right? And then so this is the newer setup, which is completely deadlocked. So we've got all this alumina solution in here, and it's not doing much of anything. Alright, yeah, I mean, none of that is accomplishing anything, and the problem with this is that the whole system is going to be filled up, and there's not going to be any good way of knowing what started it. So we're just going to have to, I guess, figure out some way of dealing with that. Now, what we could do is we could just create, like, a water output. So, like, if we just convert the water into, use it in, like, this is what people often do, is they'll make water-based concrete or whatever it's called, and then sink that, and then that just keeps the water from overflowing, which keeps the whole thing running. But I don't like doing that. It feels like cheating. You know, the point is to get it to be so that it's a perfect loop, and if you aren't getting it so that it's a perfect loop, it feels like your factory isn't working properly. So we're going to stare at this for a little bit and try to figure out what exactly is going wrong. So first we take all the water out, and we're probably going to have to do this again. Like, we're going to have to take all the water out, let it fill back up, and then take all the water out a second time, potentially. Alright, so that is all of that, and then we have these ones which don't have petroleum coke for some reason. Why is that the problem? Did I, like, do the math wrong on this particular loop or something? Okay, it looks like I have not enough heavy oil residue. Oh, I know what I did. Okay, so this has got to be Speedy McSpeedface in order to output enough. So we weren't getting the polymer resin clear fast enough. So we can just do that. And that should get this running again, which will help with these ones, but obviously not gonna do anything for the rest of them. So yeah, it looks like we had just a bit too much polymer resin going in that one sink. And then this one, of course, this is the other setup, which is fully saturated and not going to be working properly just yet. Alright, so as far as the numbers are concerned, are the numbers here correct? We're going to set aside those ones for a bit and just look at these ones over here. We have 156 in each of these. Is that stable across the board? There aren't any with weird numbers. 156 everywhere. So 156 alumina solution times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 156 times 12 is 1872. And it has 4 pipes to transport it up, so that's probably fine. So 1872 alumina solution. If we drop down here, we should see that same number, 218.4 in each of these 3. 218.4 in these 3. And then they each also have 2 of those, which are 140.4. So 218.4 times 6 plus 140.4 times 4 is 1872. So the alumina solution numbers line up properly. So that's not the problem. The water is the next question. So the 140.4 ones are being fed from an outside pipe, so we can disregard them and look at these ones, which are 182 times 6. 182 times 6 is 1,092 water being brought down in 2 pipes, which should line up properly. 1,082 water. Then these are going to be 91 times 12 is 1,092. Ooh. Is that right? Got 91 in all of these, and there are there are 12 of them. That's 1,092. Now I could have sworn I just seen 1,082 down here. Right? 200. So 182 times 6. 182 times 6. Oh wait, no, it is 1,092. I just confused myself. So the ratios should all be perfectly correct. Which means, and I'm not surprised about that, I've double and triple checked this a couple times before, but what that means is that the problem is probably one of the other things. So if we need to get this running constantly and then see how the bauxite supply does. So we need to take more water out of this. And that will allow these to keep draining alumina solution, which should allow them to start back up again. And we might have to drain this even a 3rd time. Okay, actually, here's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to just jam a fluid buffer in, attach you up to that. So this will fill with water and keep the cycle going. And then I can drain this every so often, as opposed to having to go through, do it all manually. You're yellow still. Why are you still yellow? Oh, because you're not attached up to it. Right. Alright, well you also get a fluid buffer. And in you go. Alright, so those fluid buffers should allow this to keep running in the short term, which I suspect the problem is going to be bauxite supply. So what I think is going to happen is that this is going to run out of bauxite, which is going to cause an interruption in half of the chain. But if it's so, what happens is there's a intermittent supply of bauxite. So if these stop, let me get down there and see, and actually let me flush the buffers first, just to give us the maximum time of this running before I go and get distracted and do something else. Alright, so what I think happens, right, is we head down here. These machines get an intermittent supply of bauxite, so occasionally they run out. When they run out, the alumina solution that is still in the system all gets converted into water, which piles up in here. Then, when the bauxite returns, it pumps more alumina solution into this system, but because it's perfectly balanced, the relative fullness of the water doesn't go back down. And so if this intermittent gap happens a couple of times, too much water piles up in here, and the whole thing grinds to a halt. So, how do we fix that? So the first easy way of fixing that would just be to fix the bauxite supply, make sure that it isn't intermittent. The second way of fixing that would be to make sure that it can recover itself if it needs to, which I don't know how to do. But I know there is a way of doing it, and I honestly thought that this would work for that, but apparently not. Just having the separate machines I thought would work. It seems like it's not going to, which is a shame. Alright, so this is running, and it doesn't have water, because presumably because we flushed those buffers. Alright, so if we wanted to make sure that didn't happen, what we need to do is we need to make sure that it can stabilize back to where it was, which... So the alternatives for that, we need to make it so that this can run faster and fill up. No, that wouldn't do anything ultimately. The problem might be that these machines over here are putting too much effective alumina solution into the system. So if we ever have a water shortage for any of these, this would keep on pumping alumina solution into the system. So if these are short on water, we're still going to have a constant supply of alumina solution, which is going to mean more... No, that should cancel itself out, though. That should equalize. So the question is my limited bauxite theory correct? That's the question. So we should have a massive supply of bauxite here, because it hasn't been running hardly at all. And all of these are full as expected. Now, does this empty out? I can't imagine it will. I would think we have enough bauxite. I thought I added some last time I was messing around with this stuff, specifically so that this wouldn't be an issue. I might be wrong, but I feel like I did that. But who knows? Alright, so this is... Yeah, so this is just stabilizing still. And we're going to need to... That's like a lot of water that's piling up in here. So, let's think. There's no point where the fresh water and the recycled water is being reused. or is being mixed, not reused. So these machines are the crude oil ones, and they're just going to be fine. I don't think this is the problem, but it could theoretically be. Like, if we run low on crude oil, then we don't have petroleum coke, which means the same thing happens but in reverse. So these... where are they? These would all fill up with alumina solution. And then when we get petroleum coke in the future, we would No, I just don't understand how the cycle breaks. Like, everything I'm looking at, it feels like it should equalize back. But maybe that's just not right. But I think my number one question is the source of bauxite, which looks good at the moment. And the reason the water isn't filling up fast enough is because of those fluid buffers I put in. So they are filling up with water still, which is taking water away from the rest of the stuff. And I expect these will... I mean, they shouldn't saturate, right? Because they're physically lower than... They're physically lower... No, they're physically higher up than these machines. So they should be... They should be lowered priority. But I don't fully understand how that works. It might just be because at this specific intersection it's lowered that they're getting higher priority. Who knows? Fluid buffers do weird things, and I think it's probably just straight up wrong to have them here. But it might also be the thing which causes the equalization. Okay. Is this... How much is this producing? Because I know we need 225 spare ingots. Is that, like, a lot for this, or a little? And this looks like... theoretically 4 full belts. Maybe. Probably not actually 4 full belts, but you know. So 225 spare, we could probably just do that without worrying about expanding this more, as long as we can get the current stuff functional, which is a big if. Because boy, this does not want to cooperate at all. Alright, so if this is if that's filling up, then surely there's plenty of water down here, but there isn't. I guess probably because we just have them out on one side and not, like, connected in as a part of the network as a whole. So, let's take them out. I think they shouldn't be necessary anyways. Although what I might do is put them in, but higher up off of the intersection. So, like, if we make a platform, like, up here, this might be too tall for the headlift to work. Yeah, that's probably too high for the headlift to work. It theoretically only needs to be like one little bit up for it to be deprioritized. But I don't even know if it works that way. So let's get this. We have this random wall sticking up here. So you can be up there. That's a little bit higher than the pipe is currently. And we run that out. And pop a fluid buffer in. And pipe up to this. So that pipe is going up, which means that this fluid buffer should just drain. It shouldn't fill at all, really. And it is definitely filling. Although maybe it's just going to oscillate. No, I think fluid buffers existing is not going to make this problem better. I think we just need to figure out how to get the rest of this stuff working properly. So we have the bauxite, we have the alumina solution. Water is returning to the system, slowly but surely. And alumina solution is going along. It should be fine. I mean, the numbers are exactly correct, so it shouldn't naturally jam unless the bauxite supply isn't enough. Which it's just very hard to tell, basically, because of how the whole train system works. Alright. We might have a problem, because that looked like that got below full. And that's the one which is being used the most. So if this isn't completely filled, then that is probably the source of our disruption. Yeah, I mean, this looks like it may have only gotten partially filled. I don't know, it's so hard to tell. It's incredibly difficult to say for certain. But it does look like it is draining. Yeah, it's definitely draining more than the others. Because it had more space to fill than the others. Alright, so we need to fix that. So I think that might be the source of the problem, that this center isn't... I mean, look at that. 365, 371, 740. 371, 365. So the problem is that this box, and only this box, is draining faster than the trains can fill it. Now that it's running at full speed and not jammed. And when that happens, the amount of bauxite in the system drops, and if there isn't sufficient bauxite, then weird things can happen with the rest of this stuff. Now, what I'm confused about is, shouldn't that be a relatively confined issue? Oh no, because this is probably the one that gets... They probably all get split into everything. Yeah, we definitely do that. Alright, so the problem is this, basically. So this system is meant to take 5 inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and convert them into one output, taking evenly from all the different inputs. However, the way the system actually works, it takes twice as much from the center one as it does from the external ones. So, how do we... So basically, that's going to be our project for the next few minutes, is trying to figure out how to make something which takes 5 inputs evenly. And I know how to do this in reverse, but I don't think you get credit for doing it in reverse. Although maybe you do. Maybe if we like just invert this, it'll work. I don't know. So that's our 1 to 5 splitter. So if we just like make a 1 to 5 merger, that's just this but in reverse. So we would have 3 mergers pointing into the center. I really doubt this is going to work, but it's worth a shot, right? So we have that. Then they output into a splitter, which loops back around into that. Alright, well, at least for fun we can see what this would be if we did make it. Alright, is this it? So, no, this is... That has 3 going into it. This has this. Alright, so we have... Well, we have 6 inputs now, somehow. Oh, this center input isn't supposed to exist. Alright, so... Let's do the math to see if this works. We have 1, 1, 1... 1 and 1. So this is 3. This is 2. I think this might... Does this actually work? So we have... These 3 are all getting 1/3 into this belt, right? Then these 3 are all getting 1/3. Yeah, I think this actually works somehow. And then they both get a half into this belt, and then... Now the problem here is that this... Right. So this can't deal with a full Mark V belt, which I believe it needs to. Alright. This is... 117, 182. 182 times 3 plus 117 times 2. Yeah, so this... The problem is, much like the forward variant of it, this backwards variant splits some back, and so it's not going to be a full belt of 780. But... There's got to be some way of doing this, because there exist 1 to 5 splitters which function properly at max belt speeds, and I've never built one because I've never really desperately needed that. But there should be a way of doing it. Okay, so one way of cheating and doing that basically would be to just do a 1 to 10. So like if we had this twice, and each input belt was split in half, then this would never reach... Well, this wouldn't need to reach 780 in order to be max throughput, so it would be fine. But that is definitely not the best way of doing it. So let me think some more. So I guess we can... It's probably easier to think about it in terms of splitters. So what we need to do is we need to do basically this, but somehow get Right, so what we need to do is, instead of having this merge back into the main thing, it would need to merge into each of the 5 separately, and then that would prevent it from all being on this main belt there, which would increase the speed. So we would need to like take that, merge it up with, split it into 5, and merge those 5 with one of these. So to copy that backwards, this would need to go back and merge into all of these 5 evenly. No, wait, that still wouldn't work. That wouldn't work because, again, we're taking stuff out of the system here and sending it back in. So, what if we... No, that wouldn't work either. There has to be a way of doing this. I know for a fact that there is a way of doing this. And what we need to do... Okay, wait, maybe this is it? Maybe if we just... Okay, another way of doing this would be to just calculate how much is supposed to be flowing through each belt to get to 780, and then limit each belt to that speed. So 780 divided by 5 is 156. So if we were to limit each of the belts to 156, then even a naive merging would work, because it would just hit the max belt speed exactly and not go over. So, how do we do that? Because the problem here is that these belts are all capable of doing much more than 156, which means that they are. So this one, for example, shouldn't that not be an issue? Wait, I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about this wrong. We pop a throughput monitor on you, and you are somewhere in the realm of 220. Throughput monitor on you, and you're going to be a lot lower, obviously. Right, so how is this happening? Also, we have a gridlock over there, because of course we do. Why would we ever not have a gridlock? So we have our 5 belts, which split into 5. And so this one takes 1 from each and goes into there. There are 5 of these, right? This is a 5 to 5 balancer? Or are there only 4? There might only be 4, and that's the problem. I think that's the problem. I think there are only 4 of these, and I think if we add a 5th one, it will actually just magically fix itself, because then they'll all have to output at max speed. Alright, let's fix this train jam before something weird happens and factories break that are important. So the problem with the way we're doing things now is, first of all, let's jetpack over here, because the hover pack, I definitely should have known that the hover pack wouldn't make it that far. So our power grid is technically attached to the train system via sulfur. So if we ever let these things go for too long, the power grid might crash and we would all be very upset. So, now I don't think that would actually be a problem because I think that train mostly runs around the outside edge, but regardless, we don't want that to happen. So, why are you all backed up? What have I done this time to cause such an issue? So we have a massive queue of trains in here as usual. It's all going to back up to the main roundabout. And, okay, this train... Is this train the one that's at fault? So you got partially onto the roundabout before stopping. Because this path signal here told you that you could go that far. Okay. So, let's start with take you, drive you somewhere. Should be able to just take you in here. Pretty sure this is where you were headed. Okay, don't do this, but it's fine, I guess. So we're just gonna get you fully out of the way of everything, I think. To go much further than this. Alright. Regardless, this should be clear enough. And then you can make your way through the stop. And it looks like that fixed it. So we have trains going around the loop now. And so the problem was this path signal exists, which let a train get partially on the roundabout and be stuck, but it shouldn't. I thought that's not how path signals worked, but I guess they do work that way. And yeah, I mean that path signal should have prevented you from going even here. Like, I thought the way that it has worked is that as long as you have a continuous chain of path signals, you won't go until you can get all the way through to the next block signal. So he should have gotten here and then been stuck. But maybe there was some other problem elsewhere. Like, I don't know, maybe you were trying to get here or something, and you could... Maybe something changed unexpectedly that broke something that caused it to get here and then realize it was stuck. But I don't know what the problem was. I mean, I was able to just drive it along perfectly fine. Who knows? We're just gonna leave it and hope that that doesn't happen again. Seems to be a relatively rare occurrence, whatever it is, considering that that's the first time it's happened in ages. As far as I know, since I've set up that signaling system, that's the first time we've had that exact problem, so I'm just going to assume that it isn't actually an issue. And we are going to head along this way and see if the aluminum is broken again in the meantime, which it probably has. Alright, so we keep going along. And we just keep going. Alright. So we are back here. We have our bauxite, which is full boxes, except for this one, which is rapidly draining. So yeah, this guy here is the problem. So you output to... Yeah, so this is going to be an issue for a couple of reasons. Like, firstly, it doesn't scale well. And secondly, it causes those headaches with some of these getting used more than others. So, we're going to need to fix this. And I think what we need to do is... I think we just add more aluminum production so that we have 5 outputs. Then we... No, I think if we just have each of these fed by a single thing... Yeah, actually the problem is just bauxite throughput, right? So this isn't getting enough bauxite. And is it about to get a delivery with 0 bauxite? Oh, that's... Oh no, this one's about to get a delivery... No? This is about to get a delivery that doesn't provide any bauxite to the one that actually needs it. Well, that is incredibly suspicious, to say the least. Why... So it isn't just an output problem then, like there's actually just not bauxite in this particular spot. Yeah, so bare minimum, we need more bauxite. So let's actually just hop on this train. And if we are probably going to need... We probably need a second train in order to keep up fully. And then we also need to figure out what the heck is going on with it and not filling fully. Because it should definitely just be moving full cargo wagons every time. So here we've got tons in all but the center one, which is extremely empty for some reason. Alright, so first thing we need to do is we need to speed up the transit between the input belts and the output belts. Because there's enough here, but it just didn't get over here in time. And then as far as the freight cars go, it looks like they have enough bauxite in them. And it's just not getting output fast enough. Alright, so yeah. The 2 easy fixes are put in a second train and make these belts go faster. Oh, but we can't do that easily because of this stupid thing up here. Which... Does this even get drones? Like, do drones even come here? Drone status en route. Alright, so I guess this does get drones. But I think we need to redesign... Actually, we can use these things. Good old splitter vertical mergers. So now these go up there and up there. And they just go across. I wonder if you can even use priority mergers for these things. Probably not. Alright, so that should largely fix that problem, at least. Then we have this drone, which is going to come and stop by. And this is hardly anything, really, as far as output goes. It's just one belt. Alright, now how is this going? Alright, now this is a lot closer to filled. It's not actually filled, unfortunately, but it's closer at least. Also, the drone is here, but nothing has shown up on these belts yet. Okay, so that is just straight up objectively doing nothing. Interesting. You would have expected that drone to bring some bauxite with it, even if it wasn't a huge amount. Alright, so we did manage to fully load up the train. And this has enough bauxite in it for a full another batch, even of the center car. And do we want to just do some very basic balancing here? We don't need to get it perfect, but like if we can get it so that like some of this is focused in towards the center car, if these all fill up. Yeah, let's do that. So you get a smart splitter. You get a priority merger. You get a smart splitter. So we are going to do that and that. So this is priority center. These are going to be left overflow and right overflow. And that's just because the center box is getting more than the external boxes, so we want to make sure that it has the opportunity to be filled as much as possible. And we could technically chain this all the way across the entire setup, but that shouldn't be necessary. So yeah, now we're pulling from these to fill this, which should help keep this going more efficiently. So that is nice. And then we have the train coming back. It's going to get another full cargo. And where is our bauxite input trains? Here's one. Is it full? How is that going to look? And this freight car is the important one, I think. No, it is this one. It's always hard to tell which ones they line up to just at a glance, because they slow down like a full car length ahead. Alright, so we do get full freight car going in here. And this was just apparently just barely able to be saturated. And then this is filling up. And off we go. So now this has a full freight car's worth in it. And the rest of these are just going to have to fill up their little boxes before focusing more in to the center one. Now at some point, let's see, there should never be a point in which this takes out more than 2 belts, because it's just impossible. Alright, based on the speed at which the output belt can do, unless we have more bauxite trains attached, which for this exact system we aren't doing. So this should be fine. So the other boxes are filled. And now they're prepared to fill up this one if that runs out. And what are you doing? Why are you like this? The train loading animation is like horrendously buggy. Like the actual functionality of it always works, but the animation is like 50-50 on whether it works or not, which is pretty terrible. Alright. Do I want to just distribute this even more? No, it's probably fine as it is. And then the question is going to be, do we need another train for this? Or do we even potentially need like another station even? Alright, so this is filling up the train it currently has. And I think it's doing more than that. Like, I think this is more full than it was last time. So we have that going along. And it's off. And no, this almost completely empties out every time. Which means I'm not entirely sure how much good a second train would even do. Unless this is about to change dramatically. Yeah, I think we just need to, like, focus even more into this. So what if we set these to any? So they just always send stuff into this no matter what. Of course, it'll only accept it if there isn't room in there. But that will help this load up just that little bit quicker by making sure it's constantly loading up at all times, except for the brief loading and unloading delay, which you can't do anything about. Alright, so that is that. And there goes the bauxite. So now we're going to be mostly draining bauxite from the center until eventually this fills up. Alright, we do have a second train of bauxite incoming, just like immediately after the first, which is not the optimal time for it, but it's good enough, basically. And then I wonder if we want to duplicate this setup on both sides. Yeah, I think we do. I think that's actually, like, pretty important. So this is going to be janky because these are not straight at all, but we set those up like that. You are a priority merger with priority medium. So now this should be receiving the maximum possible input at all times, because both of these are going to be sending half a belt, so that equals a full belt, that equals a full belt. So we should be doing everything we possibly can to ensure that this gets as much bauxite as it needs. And now the risk would be that these are going to be getting less than full, potentially, which could, in theory, mean that these ones run out, but I think that's unlikely. Just based on, like, they do get a significant amount of time filling themselves up as priority number 1. And they're just going to kick in to keep this full if there's a long delay. And if this center is filling up 24/7, then it should be fine. We might... Yeah, let's just put in a second train on the route just to be sure. But I don't think it'll ultimately be needed because this station can't possibly output more than 2 full belts a second, and it's inputting to 2 full belts a second constantly now. Alright, but it is filling up, so we are going to need another train. So let's get you in. And this is going to make all sorts of things more complicated. 2, 3, 4, 5. So you are aluminum train 2. Edit time travel. Wait, no. Aluminum bauxite train 2. And we don't need train in there because obviously it's a train. So, bauxite. Where are you? Where are the stations for this? Aluminum ingot bauxite. Bauxite distributor. And save changes. Turn on self-driving. And so now we're going to run into the problem where one train follows immediately after the other and doesn't get any. But that should balance out because these can store 2 trains worth of cargo. Right? Because these are... No, these are 4 rows, so it can't quite store 2 trains worth of cargo. So we might have that problem. But hopefully we won't. And there are ways of fixing that by just like adding times of inactivity on. Also, am I crazy or does YouTube think I'm still... What is YouTube doing? Why is YouTube like an hour or more behind? I just realized that. That's concerning. What are you doing? Oh, I must have somehow clicked on a timestamp over there or something. Alright. Yeah, no. We're doing good there. I think it's fine. I think in the preview player thing, I just clicked on a timestamp somehow to set me back. I was like, why is it showing me looking for hard drives? I definitely haven't been doing that. Alright. So this is going along nicely. And we are filling this up even more. And so there is the slight risk of the trains clashing and like causing a backup by trying to get into the same station, but because they only stay at the station for a brief amount of time, I don't think that's like what could happen is this train is in here, then the next train is like out here waiting for it, and that causes a backup. But because I have these trains set to just stop in the station briefly and then leave, it shouldn't be an issue. So the way of preventing the trains from one of them getting not fully filled because it's coming directly after another is I could set them to wait in here until they're completely full, which shouldn't be an issue. I don't know if that's even necessary, but who knows. Alright, so that is going in now. And we have more bauxite, and yeah, this train here is gonna get absolutely nothing. So let's actually do that. Let's go bauxite distributor until fully loaded / unloaded, and wait for 0 seconds. Save changes. So we'll see if that takes into effect instantly right now. But it shouldn't. Let's see. Will it cause problems? It could cause problems if there isn't enough bauxite in the entire system to fill it, and the other train is waiting here, because that would prevent a train from taking this turn to fill the system with more bauxite, which would be bad. Alright, so this train is going in there, and the way we would fix that is we would just have to make this region here longer. And let's do that. Alright, so this is going to break some stuff temporarily. That's fine. They'll figure themselves out soon. Alright, so you... Yeah, you're already here waiting for it. So let's just do, I mean, something like that should be more than enough. So you're going to curve around this way. And then come around here. And then loop back in like this. And into the station. So now we just pop a block signal in here somewhere, and let's see, so this region here, let's actually just see, it should be long enough for the train to fit entirely inside of it while it waits, and it is. Alright, so now if we have problems with trains waiting, they'll wait in that section there instead of in this region there, and it will all work out. And I also just doubt that'll be a problem in the first place. And yeah, this is actually a perfect chance to test that theory. So here you are, and it'll also test that it's working. Did I even set you? Oh, I think you're the one that I didn't set properly, maybe? Yeah, so I need to... I'm stuck at the wrong part of the train for this. Please get stuck at an intersection so I can run forwards. Please. No, it's too direct. Oh wait, no. Here we go. We can do this. Alright. Edit timetable. Bauxite distributor until fully loaded, and wait for 0 seconds. Save, and we can leave now. Alright, so unless I've messed that up, it should be fixed. So now we should only be sending full cargo loads. And this one is probably going to have to sit in the station and wait a little bit for that, which is exactly what it's doing. You love to see it. And there's obviously plenty in here to manage that. And hopefully this all is keeping up. We have 1,060 incoming on that side. 600 some incoming on the rest of these. It's very, very quick. Alright. So that train is gonna leave, should be soon. And it can't be that far behind. All the rest of these are loading up as well. Although, actually, where is... We are sort of low on... We're sort of low on bauxite here. So that is a potential issue, and another train has shown up. Okay, the river bauxite train is coming here. And that's probably another bauxite train. No, that's just a random unrelated train behind it. Alright, so that train is off. And then this one is going to have to wait in the station for a little bit. And probably quite a while, because this is going to be stopped and out of resources while it reloads. Alright, so we might also have to improve our bauxite output if these trains are taking so long. Because we definitely need to make sure that that is good as well. And I thought we had 2 bauxite outputs. We have that one, and we have this one. But might not. We might have problems there. So this is now filling up, and it's going to basically just send all of that directly into this train's inventory and get it all loaded up. Alright, so if everything seems to be working mostly fine on that side, with the possible exception of the bauxite input. So now we just have to make our way over to this side of things and see if we've solved the problem. So are we shoveling enough bauxite into this to keep up with it? And the answer is maybe. It's a definite, solid, respectable maybe. It's definitely going to be doing better than it was. It's up to 1,097 items per minute. Jeez. Alright, so one thing we can do, this is a clever idea that I just thought of, is we can also just distribute around which one is the one that's being overused. Like, it doesn't have to be this one every single time. So let's just go here, and if we just take these 2 and the wrong hotbar. So this one goes there. This one goes a little bit across and in there. So now it is the one that's being overused in that spot, which should balance things out a little bit. And theoretically, if we just distribute that around enough times, it should end up being equal overall. So this one, and we need to make sure that it's different ones each time. So this one, we go back here and we send that into there. And where is the belt that I cut off for this? It's this one. So you can then go there and then up and then back down into that one. So now in 2 out of the 5, the central belt isn't, the central train station isn't the one that's being overused. So hopefully that will help with that. And then if we head back over here, it seems like it's still all functional, because there were pretty significant bauxite supplies in there to begin with. And yeah, so we're probably fine. And we can drop down to where's the other three? It's these ones. So we can do the same thing in here, where if we just take one of these, and this swap is going to be awkward. Swap is going to be extremely awkward, but if we cut you back there and you back to there, and then you cross over like that and go in, and you I sort of might have screwed myself here a little bit. No, we can go up extra tall here like so, and then down and in. So now we've once again just flipped around which one is using the central piece, and now it should be evenly distributed-ish, where there's one, because there's one that isn't ever being the central piece, but the other four are in one instance. So that should also have largely fixed the distribution problem, because now it's just that this one specifically is going to be overfilled, as opposed to previously where this one specifically was being underfilled. So I think that should resolve that problem, and we spent a lot of time fiddling around with things, getting like the prerequisites for the turbo fuel factory done. We have our design in the notes on the side of the screen. That's the numbers of all the different resources that we need to make. So we have that, and we have probably the aluminum situation under control now. And I don't know if we can afford the bauxite to add another row in here. I don't think we need to, but we'll just have to see. And yeah, I guess that's going to be that. So we should be set so that next stream we can properly start making turbo motors, which will be a bit of a task, but fortunately, because we're importing stuff, it won't be a massive undertaking like it could have been otherwise. But it's still not going to be trivial. So make sure to stop by for that on Wednesday. And other than that, I'm going to be playing Factorio again tomorrow, where we are in the middle of doing circuits, where we are trying to make a system that automatically swaps recipes between the different types of Tier 3 modules, depending on what we need. So that is quite fun. So make sure to stop by for that if you're interested. And other than that, I will see you guys next time. So thanks for hanging out. Make sure to follow if you haven't already.